Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Miss Aisha Siddiqui and I'm your optional English lecturer. Hope you all are fit and healthy and taking all due precautions from this virus. As everything is coming back to normal, the life is coming back to normal, and I'm also hearing that we'll be starting with the dining facility of the restaurant. I'm so happy that I will finally get to go to the restaurant and sit and eat some nice, good, delicious butter chicken and biryani and all. I'm so happy, but yes, at the same time, I'm very scared that as going out and dining outside, so we can, it's there are like 100% or 90% chances that we might catch the virus as we will be sitting and eating outside. I'm very happy. At the same time, I'm a little bit scared as well. I don't know what to do. Maybe the fear will overtake my happiness and maybe I will not go for any dining outside. So let's see. I will let you all know what did I do once the dining starts. Did I go the first day once it started? Did I go the first day and started eating, or the fear overtook me and I did not go? I will surely let you all know. But please take all precautions, even though if you are going outside to eat something, take all precautions, use the sanitizers, and don't think that the virus has disappeared. Yes, there are people dying really due to the virus. Life is getting back to normal. I'm happy for that, but still we have to take all precautions. In fact, I'm even hearing that the schools and colleges will very soon get started. I don't know if you all are happy or you all are sad, but I am very happy thinking of coming back to a very normal life, because all the habits have been actually, even me, even I'm guilty of that all the good habits that we had pre-lockdown, it has actually got spoiled, and we sleep late, we get up late, and lazy to do work. So once everything gets back to normal, the normal life will start: sleeping early, getting up early, going to school and colleges, and doing our work and studies and everything. So most of you all will be sad, few will be happy, but I want you all to be happy, as in slowly we are coming back to a normal life. So whatever time is left, I am not going to tell you all the date when school and colleges are going to start. I don't know it myself, and I've just heard it is a flying news, so I don't know if it is actual or it is not actual. So but whatever, if it starts, and I'm very happy when once it starts. So by the time, whatever time is left till the lockdown starts, enjoy. Yes, you can enjoy going late, or you can enjoy sleeping late or getting up late, uh, till the lockdown, I mean not the lockdown, till the schools and colleges start on a normal basis. Okay, coming back to a chapter that we had done last time, we had finished a story. The story was The Romance of a Busy Broker, and we are going to start with the second story. And with this story, we will finish the stories part, and in the in the ahead lectures, we will start with the poems. So this story that we are going to do today, it is an amazing story. I find it really fun, really funny. So the story is actually funny. The character in the story, she's really funny and she's very witty, very witty. So that is a quality of her I like. So let's start with the story. The name of the story is The Open Window. Now here, I was wondering why anybody will keep a name The Open Window, right? So weird. Windows are always kept open. So what is so different about this window if it is open? So let's see what is the story behind this open window, and why is the title known is kept as The Open Window. So let's move forward. I'll share my screen with you all. Okay, here we go. So the writer, the author of the story is Saki. His name is Saki. Don't you all think the song Saki Saki Ray. So his name is not regarding the song or connected to the song. His name is Saki, and the chapter's name and the story's name is The Open Window. Now he's a very famous writer, and he's a fine storyteller. He's a fine storyteller, and the story revolves, and his also, sorry, his pen name is Saki, but his real name is H. Munro. So there we go. We have already done another writer whose name was different, O. Henry, but his real name was William Sidney Porter, if you all remember. So let's see what is the introduction of the story. The story revolves around an open window and a smart storyteller girl named Vera, the niece of Mrs. Sapleton. So the whole story goes around behind with this girl, this little girl, not very little, she's a teenage girl. And I know teenage is the age to have all the fun, right? In fact, I will not say that only teenage is the age to have fun, as there's no age limit to have fun. So even though you'll grow old, that doesn't mean that you'll leave life and you'll act like some Buddha over there and don't have fun and all. So even though you're old, even though you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever the age will be, there's no age limit to have musti and fun. So don't think that if we are old enough and my teenage is over, my teenage got over just few years, not few years, I'll say just 2 years back. So my teenage got over 2 years back, but still I don't feel that I'm not a teenager yet. I still have a lot of fun that not even the teenagers will have. So for the ones who are older enough, have finished with their teenage, don't think that your life is over, and don't be so depressed that masti to sirf teenage mein hoti hai. Nahi, masti kabhi bhi ho sakti hai. So this girl, she's in her teenage years, but the different kind of musties are done in the teenage. In fact, means that is the first age that you all step into a different world, that you can go out with your friends and have all the fun around. So because before that you are a child and you just like to play in the society or in the play area and all. But once you're a teenager, you go out, you have more fun outside with friends and all. So, and the main type of fun is to make pranks, right? We all play pranks with one another, with our friends and family and relatives and all. So this girl here, Vera, she's the niece of Mrs. Sapleton, and she is a very wicked girl. She loves playing pranks on others. So, and also she plays pranks by telling others different kind of fascinating stories that aren't true, but she tells it in a way that the stories will, anyone will think that yes, they are true. Now there are some people we find in young ages, when we, I mean in childhood ages, when we are in school and all, some friends of ours, in a friend circle, there's always one friend that is the kind of a storyteller, right? They will tell us horror stories. ये हुआ वो हुआ ये भूत देखा वो भूत देखा. And most of them, I am telling you, most of them are not true. So they all, most of them are made up stories, because these people are great storytellers. So similarly, this girl was a great storyteller, and she played pranks with everyone by telling different types of fascinating stories. So the story is an amusing story about how a girl spins fictitious stories about things and people in a short time. So this girl is a very clever girl, intelligent teenage girl, who likes to tell fictitious stories. That means some different fascinating, from where does she get all these types of things in her mind, and she makes up those stories. So fictitious stories are something very adventurous or something very different, unique, can be horror, can be something else, can be fascinating or adventurous, any type of stories. So, And she also, in a very short time, she can create stories. Now, there are some people, right? They don't take time to tell lies or to play pranks, or they don't need to think so much. So once a teacher asks you that, why didn't you come for lecture yesterday and where were you? So fast you can make a story. Oh, ma'am, someone was not well in my house. This thing happened, that will happen. People, students even, bichare, they even kill their grandparents for some reason. And make up stories that I was here, but they were not there. They were nicely bunking lectures and eating pani puri or some stuff outside, or going for a movie. You must be missing these days, right, of college, sitting at home. Don't worry, we are going to come back to these days again. So this girl here, in a very short time, she can actually bring up nice stories. Let's see who's Mr. Frampton Nuttall. He's the main character of the story, so please very carefully listen what type of man he was. Mr. Nuttall has a nervous ailment. Nervous ailment means he has a problem. He's retired, or he retires to the countryside. He retires to the countryside means he's come to the countryside after, means he's an old man. So he's finally come to the countryside for cure, and calls on the family friend on an introductory note by her sister. So he comes to a house where his sister's friend is. So Mrs. Saplin here, in the previous slide, I told you that the girl is the niece of Mrs. Sapleton. Who's Mrs. Sapleton? Mrs. Sapleton is Mr. Frampton Nuttall's sister's friend. So her sister is not there in the countryside. So she has written an introductory note to her brother that once you come to the countryside, you can visit to these people, Mrs. Sapleton's house, and be there for some time. By the time she'll come back. So she has written an introductory note for Mr. Frampton Nuttall. On calling, the lady of the house was busy, and her young niece, who comes to entertain him, refers to a family mishap with a focus on an open window. So he goes to Mrs. Sapleton's house, but as the lady of the house was busy in some work, that means Mrs. Sapleton was busy in some work. So there's Vera, the young niece, that means she's of a teenage. She comes out and entertains him. Entertains means just to talk. Do you want something? You want to have tea, coffee, or juice or something. So she's entertaining, because you cannot keep the guests sitting alone for a long time, right? So the lady of the house, that is Mrs. Appleton, she sends her niece for the time being, till the time she's busy outside. So this niece of her, Vera, she nicely talks to him in a polite way, in a nice way, greets him. And later on, when she finds out that this man does not know anything about my auntie, Mrs. Appleton, as he keeps on talking that my sister has sent me here to your house and I don't know anything about the countryside. So this girl very fast, very quickly creates a story in her mind. She thinks, let's play a prank with this man. Yeah. She thinks that what will I do talking to him so long by the time my aunt comes? So let's play a prank. Very cleverly, just looking at the open window outside, she starts making a story. So here you can see in this picture that old man, Mr. Frampton Nuttall, he's come to Mrs. Sapleton's house, and this is the young girl there. Vera, the niece of Mrs. Sapleton. Let's see what Vera, how she is. Vera, the quick-witted niece, in her conversation, finds out that Mr. Nuttall is new to the country. So while talking to him, she knows that he's not from the country, and doesn't know her aunt. So there she knows that he also doesn't know her aunt. She narrates to him a mishap that happened about 3 years ago, just after Mr. Nuttall's sister left the countryside. So very cleverly, so that he does not think that, oh, she's telling a wrong or a story that is not true, because his sister would have told him that something has happened here. But very cleverly, she says that your sister wasn't in the countryside. When this thing happened, your sister wasn't here. She tells him that about 3 years ago, on the same day where he has come on that day, Mrs. Sapleton's husband, that is her uncle, along with her younger brother and a friend, left for a game in the month of October, the month that we are now. So don't be scared. They were accompanied by their dogs, Spaniel. So till now you got what story she's saying. So first she said that Mrs. Sapleton's husband, on the very day that he has come, in the month of October, where the same day Mrs. Sapleton's husband had gone out for a game with Mrs. Sapleton's younger brother and a friend, and with their dog, that his dog's name is Spaniel. So what happened later on? The sad demise of Mr. Sapleton and his team. Well, who is Mr. Sapleton? Vera's uncle, Mrs. Sapleton's husband. So the niece told Mr. Nuttall that though they were regular gamer and knew the countryside very well, but on that fateful day they were tricked by quicksand. So she's saying that they knew everything about the countryside and they always used to go out and play games. But this fateful day, that means this very day, on the same day that you've come here, they were tricked by quicksand and they died. So their body was never found, because you know what's a quicksand, right? In Hindi, it is called daldal. So if a person goes into it, he cannot come outside with if there's no support from outside. So if a man is there standing outside and he pulls him out, yes, he will come out, because you don't find the land below your feet. It goes inside and inside. So she's tricked by the story, and she said that they went into quicksand, and that is why their bodies aren't found yet. So they are dead. And Mrs. Sapleton had not been able to overcome this shock. So she says that her auntie is a little bit mad because she cannot come out from the shock, and she's stuck on the day when her husband died and her younger brother, friend, and her dog died. And that is why she always leaves the window wide open, hoping that her husband would return someday. This is a kind of little tricky and a little bit horror story, right? That these people are dead, and still the lonely woman, the lady of the house, she sits on the window, keeps the window open so that her husband comes out. Who will come? The husband's ghost. If the husband is dead, so who will come, right? So there she says that indirectly, so directly she's not saying that the ghost will come. Indirectly, Mr. Nuttall knows that who is going to come from that open window, the ghost of Mr. Sapleton and the younger brother and the dog, the friend. So there she's shown that her aunt is she's going through some problem, and she's having these visions that she can see her husband coming and all of that. So there she always sits here. You can see in the picture here that Mrs. Sapleton is sitting, keeping the window wide open. Now, the window does not mean a window like we have a window. In that place where they are, a window is a long door, like a sliding door or a long door made of glass. So it is actually a main door. So we have main doors of grill and wood, but in that country, there are main doors made of wood and glass. So they call it a window actually. So she keeps the door open, and she thinks that her husband and younger brother, her friend, her dog will come someday. So arrival of Mrs. Sapleton. So there they're talking, and Vera is telling all these vicious stories to Mr. Nuttall, and he's hearing. So after the work is done, Mrs. Sapleton, she comes there. And presently, Mrs. Sapleton arrived and met Mr. Nuttall. She confirmed the niece's story of her husband's return from the game. So as that lady comes outside, she unknowingly, she does not know that her niece has made up all the story. Unknowingly, she says that, hi, how are you? And what do we say normally, right? If a man has come to a house, we'll say, my husband is just coming, and my husband will be coming, and my younger brother will be coming. His friend is there, and they've gone out for a game with my dog, and they will be returning. So normally she says that. But there Mr. Nuttall thinks that she is really mad, because he knows that he's just heard her niece saying that they are dead, all of them, long ago, but on the same day. And there Mrs. Sableton has come, and she's again talking about her husband's return. So he actually thinks that yes, this lady is she's not overcome the shock, and she has gone mad due to all this. Mr. Nuttall tried to change the topic of the talk so that the poor lady would not be traumatized anymore. So he thinks that, oh, I will change the topic. So he's normally changing the topic so that 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 lady is not actually more in stress and tension. But there he spoke about, so that's why he keeps on speaking about his illness, that I am sick and I visited the doctor and the doctor told me this and that, and he keeps on changing the topic. However, Mrs. Sapleton continued to talk and speak about her husband would come with a muddy feet and soil the carpet. So she gets very bored, because again and again he's talking about his illness. So she thinks that if I don't talk about his illness, even he will not be traumatized. So both are thinking the same thing. Mr. Nuttall is thinking that she'll not be traumatized by talking about the same thing. And she's thinking that I will change the topic of the talk so that he's not traumatized with his illness, the topic of his illness. So that is the reason she keeps on returning to the same topic, that my husband and all of the others, they've gone out, they'll be coming, they will play the game, and they'll be with their muddy feet, and they'll soil all the carpet, dirty the whole house and all. So she keeps on talking about that. There you can see Mrs. Sapleton sitting and talking about the same thing again and again. Arrival of Mr. Sapleton and his team. Who's his team? The brother, the younger brother, her friend, and a dog. As Mrs. Sapleton spoke about her younger brother, that he would tell her, she appeared to be cheerful on seeing the arrival of her husband and his gaming team. The niece looked scared too. So here Mrs. Sapleton is again and again talking that they will be coming now, my husband will come, my brother will come, and my brother, he keeps on teasing me. As he will come, he will start teasing me, and he's very cheerful, and she's talking about them. So the niece also, she's acting. So there she has told a nice different fishy story to Mr. Nuttall. So she's also acting scared in front of him, that why this lady is talking about them again and again. So there she's feeling, she's acting to feel scared actually. And both of them are actually looking at the window thinking that, oh God, is it really that they will come? That means the ghost of her husband and everyone will come. Mr. Nuttall couldn't help turning in that direction and saw three human figures and a dog coming towards them. So because he was feeling so, that suspense, the suspense that someone is there behind me. Now, once you see a horror movie at night and then you go to sleep and you can't sleep, what do you think, right? Oh, there's someone there beside me. Oh, I can feel someone's voice. There's nothing, but only because it's all in our mind, and we've been seeing the horror movie, we start feeling, our senses start working that way. So here Mr. Nuttall couldn't help, but he wanted to turn behind. So the window was behind him, and then he turned. But as he turned in the direction, he saw three human figures. From very far, he saw three people actually coming, and a dog with them. So it's the same thing that the niece told, right? The niece already told that her husband, her younger brother, her friend, and the dog will be coming. And the same thing is happening. So there they see the three people and their dog coming, and he's very frightened. He is actually frightened. Now, exchange of pleasantries. Now, what do you mean by this? Mrs. Sapleton greeted her husband and remarked that he was in mud up to his eyes. So there, her husband, they are not ghosts, they are human beings. They had gone out to play really, and they are returning from their game. And that is the reason she's greeting her husband very nicely. And she said, see, I told you that he'll be all in soil and dirt. So her brother teased her as usual. So she also told that my brother will come and tease me, and the brother is teasing her again. So quick exit of Mr. Nuttall. Let's see what happened to Mr. Nuttall. What was his behavior? What was his reaction on this? Seeing these unusual meeting, Mr. Nuttall quickly took his hat and his stick and dashed out of the house. He moved quickly in fear and almost met with an accident with a cyclist. Now here he was filled with fear. He was so scared looking at these three people because he actually thought that these three people are ghosts. And this lady is gone mad. She's talking to the ghost of her husband and her brother. And she's not even feeling scared. So that is the reason he thought, I don't want to stay here. And he picked up his hat and his stick and he ran in fear. He ran so fast that he dashed into a cyclist bed. Mr. Sappleton asked about the visitor and his quick retreat. So the husband who had come, he said, who was he and why did he go and why did he run so fast? Why was he so scared? So surprised by his manner of exit, Mrs. Sappleton remarked about his bad manners. So she's thinking, this man is sitting here for so long. Now that my husband has returned, he's running. What bad manners. And even without an excuse, and how he was only interested in discussing about his nervousness. Now she feels angry that since he has come, he's only talking about how nervous he was about his illness, and he's not even worried about the that she's talking, the topic that she's talking on about her husband, unknowingly that he wanted to change the topic. So there, Mr. Sappleton, Mrs. Sappleton, the young niece, the dog, they all looking at Mr. Frampton Nuttall running outside. Another story. Now there's something more left by the niece, Vera. She has told another story. This time the niece spinned around story about how Mr. Nuttall was scared of dogs. And probably the sight of spaniel made him run away. So here she's so quick, she's so witty that so quickly she created a second story. And only because Mr. Sappleton said that why this man ran so fast. So she has made another story and she said that Mr. Nuttall was discussing with me that he's very scared of dogs, and there was some incident wherein he was chased by a pack of dogs and he had to take refuge in a newly dug grave. So she has made up all the story. She said that Mr. Nuttall told her all this, but it wasn't true. Mr. Nuttall did not say anything. She has made it all up. So, and he was actually taking refuge. In refuge means he was taking a little time to hide himself. He was hiding in a graveyard, inside a grave. So, and that is the reason he's so scared of dogs. And that is why he ran away, because he saw Spaniel, their dog, outside. So she's made up a second story here. So here you'll understand what a witty girl she is. And there, yes, what a witty girl. And what story she's made up. I enjoyed the story and it was really funny for me. This girl is so clever that she can make up stories in minutes and seconds. So first she made up a story for Mr. Nuttall and she made him scared. And later on, she made up a story for her uncle and aunt, and there she showed that Mr. Nuttall was scared of dogs. Very clever girl, very clever girl. So in the teenage, what do people do, right? Play pranks and all of this stuff. So she enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. And not even taking care that this man was ill. Sometimes when we actually play pranks, we play pranks on the wrong people. Sometimes we don't know that they are suffering from something. So we cannot always be fooling around, right? Sometimes you should take care of the situation. We should see that if we are playing a prank, on whom we are playing. So it can be your friends, it can be your relatives, it can be anyone that you can play pranks with. But you should at least see what is the situation. Is someone really dead and you're playing prank, and that will not work. Or someone is sad or ill or sick. So that is not the time that you could play pranks, right? I am not against playing pranks. I myself play a lot of pranks with my friends and relatives. And in my teenage, yes, I've played a lot of pranks, but not on the wrong situations. So yes, we should take care of the situation or the condition of the person we are playing prank on. Here, poor little, not little, sorry, poor Mr. Nuttall, he was ill and he was sick and he had come for a cure in their house. Like to stay over there. And there he ran away from there because he was more scared, and this must have actually, you know, made his situation more bad because he was already ill. So sometimes we should take care of the condition on whom we are playing pranks. Do play pranks, but please take care of the situation and condition before playing the prank. So I hope you all liked the video, the story, you all enjoyed the story. It was a short and sweet story of this witty girl. And in the next lecture, we will be discussing the keywords from this story, and we'll put them into few sentences and learn the meanings of it to improve your communication skills. Later on, we'll discuss question answers also. Thank you so much for seeing the lecture, hearing the story. Hope you understood it. Thank you so much. Take care. Stay safe. Stay home.